Disclaimer: it's inspired by reality, shaped by imagination.
It was supposed to be a light Friday morning on The View, a segment about online shopping habits among seniors. But when Jennifer Lopez sat down across from Sunny Hostin, the tone shifted almost immediately. The topic, should seniors avoid online shopping for safety, sounded simple enough, but it didn't take long for it to spark something deeper. Sunny, known for her sharp, lawyer-like reasoning, argued that the internet was a minefield for older Americans. She said scams are everywhere. If you're 70 and trying to buy a coffee maker online, there's a good chance someone's stealing your card number before you finish checkout. Jennifer's face didn't move at first. Then she leaned in, eyes narrowing just slightly. That's not protection, that's fear. My mom shops online every week. She's careful, sure, but she's also smart. We can't just tell older people to stay off the internet because we think they'll mess up. That's insulting. The audience gave a mixed reaction. Some clapped, others murmured. Sunny pushed back harder, calling Jennifer's take naive optimism. Jennifer's smile tightened, but she didn't back down. You're calling it optimism. I call it respect. And just like that, what started as a polite conversation about digital safety turned into one of The View's most unexpected and emotional clashes of the year, one that would end with Jennifer Lopez standing up and walking off the set. The segment began casually enough. Joy Behar was in her usual teasing mood, tossing in quick one-liners to keep things light. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back, arms crossed, letting the guests talk. Sunny Hostin, always composed and deliberate, had just finished explaining how seniors were easy prey for digital scams, while Ana Navarro nodded in agreement. Then Jennifer Lopez stepped in. She looked calm, collected, glowing in a cream-colored blazer, but her tone had that unmistakable edge that told everyone she wasn't here to play along. "I get what you're saying," Jennifer started, her voice soft but pointed. "But don't you think that's a bit dismissive? My mom's in her 70s. She's on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, you name it. She even taught me how to use coupon extensions. We shouldn't assume older people can adapt." Sunny tilted her head slightly, her expression patient but firm. "Jennifer, with all due respect, your mom's probably not the norm. You've got resources, you've got awareness, but millions of seniors don't even realize what phishing means. There are people losing their retirement savings because they clicked on the wrong email." Jennifer nodded, her lips pressed together. "But that's not a reason to discourage them from trying. It's a reason to teach them." That last word hung in the air. Teach. It was the first real spark of the morning. Whoopi jumped in. "So, J-Lo, you're saying it's not about restriction, it's about education?" "Exactly," Jennifer replied. "We keep talking about protecting seniors by isolating them. That's not protection, it's control. My mom once said, if you stop learning, you stop living. We should empower older people to navigate the online world safely, not lock them out of it." A few audience members clapped. Joy Behar smirked. "So you'd tell my Aunt Rose she should start shopping online again? Last time she did, she brought a treadmill that never showed up." The crowd laughed, and even Jennifer cracked a smile. "Then maybe we teach Aunt Rose how to check seller reviews before buying another treadmill." And the laughter softened the moment. For about 5 seconds. Sunny wasn't laughing. "You make it sound simple," she said, leaning forward. "But there's a reason banks, retailers, and tech companies all issue scam warnings. These criminals target older folks because they're easy targets. The stakes aren't small. We're talking about people losing homes, life savings, everything." Jennifer's eyes flickered, sympathy, then frustration. "I know, and that's heartbreaking, but again, the answer isn't to treat every senior like a child who can't handle technology. That mindset does more harm than good. We make them feel helpless instead of capable." Whoopi nodded thoughtfully. "There's truth to that," she said. "My mom, God rest her soul, used to hate when people acted like she couldn't figure out her iPad." "But that's your mom, Whoopi. Not everyone has the same experience. What happens when someone's dad clicks a fake IRS link and loses his entire tax refund? You can't educate everyone fast enough to stop that." Jennifer exhaled through her nose. "So what do you do instead? Tell them not to use the internet at all? That's not realistic. They're ordering prescriptions, groceries, everything online. If we don't help them learn, we're just leaving them behind. Joy interjected, half joking, half serious. Maybe we bring back catalog shopping. Just mail in your orders like it's 1985. Jennifer laughed politely, but didn't take the bait. Come on, Joy, that's exactly the kind of nostalgia that keeps progress stuck. My mom used to write checks for everything. Now she pays bills on her phone, and she loves that independence. Sunny's tone cooled. But not everyone is lucky as your mom, Jennifer. Jennifer's smile thinned. Maybe luck is less to do with it than effort. The audience reacted. Some gasped, others clapped. Wookie raised her eyebrows. The air shifted. It was no longer a friendly exchange. It was two strong women standing on opposite sides of a widening divide. Sunny leaned back, voice lower but sharper. You're minimizing real risks. Seniors don't need to prove anything. They've earned peace of mind, not more exposure to scams and digital stress. Jennifer met her gaze. And I'm saying peace of mind doesn't come from hiding them from the world. It comes from trusting them to handle it. With help, yes, but with respect, too. Whoopi jumped in before it went off the rails. Let's take a quick breath, she said, trying to cool things down. Sounds like we've got a bigger question here. Is this about safety or independence? Jennifer looked right at Sunny. Maybe it's about whether we still believe older people can grow. That was the spark that truly lit the fire. The audience buzzed. Joy looked from one to the other like she was watching a tennis match. Sunny folded her hands but didn't break eye contact. It was no longer just about online shopping. It was about dignity, independence, and how America views aging itself. And the tension on The View was just beginning to build.
The tension that started as subtle friction now began to pulse through the studio. Even Whoopi shifted forward in her chair, sensing the energy change. The audience, which had been laughing just minutes earlier, sat a little straighter. Sunny Hostin clasped her hands on the table, speaking slowly as if to ground the moment. Jennifer, I think you're missing how dangerous this really is. Seniors are being exploited by entire networks of cybercriminals. These scams aren't a few pop-up ads. They're organized, relentless, and cruel. When we say seniors should stay cautious, it's not about control, it's about protection. Jennifer listened, but her expression hardened. Protection can turn into control really quickly, she replied. I've seen it. You tell a senior don't shop online, and next thing you know, they're scared to even check their email. We start treating them like they can't make their own decisions, and that's when they stop trying. That's when they lose confidence. The camera zoomed slightly closer. Jennifer's tone wasn't angry, but firm, grounded in conviction. We should be teaching digital confidence, not digital fear. Sunny leaned back, letting out a soft laugh that wasn't exactly friendly. Digital confidence. That's easy to say when you have an assistant who manages your schedule, filters your calls, and updates your devices. Most seniors don't have that luxury. Jennifer, some barely know how to reset a password. Jennifer blinked, her patience wearing thin. That's not fair. I didn't grow up with tech either. I had to learn. We all did. Seniors can too. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible if we stop assuming they can't. Joy Behar, ever the provocateur, cut in. You both sound like you're describing my Uncle Tony. The man once tried to order pizza on LinkedIn. Maybe some people just shouldn't go online. The crowd laughed, but it didn't cool the moment. Jennifer turned to Joy, half smiling. And maybe, instead of laughing about it, someone could have shown him how to use the right app. That's the problem. We make fun of seniors for struggling with tech instead of helping them. That landed harder than anyone expected. The laughter faded. Joy raised her eyebrows, slightly stung. Okay, so now we're blaming jokes? Not blaming, just saying that when we make fun of seniors for struggling with tech, we make them afraid to ask for help. That's how scams happen, because they're embarrassed to admit they don't understand something. Sunny jumped back in, her tone sharp now. Jennifer, that's a nice sentiment, but the internet is not a gentle teacher. It doesn't care if you're embarrassed, it'll exploit it. The world isn't as safe as your mom's Etsy account. That hit a nerve. Jennifer's jaw tightened. And maybe that's the exact reason we should teach people how to use it properly instead of pretending they can't handle it. You don't build resilience by hiding from the world, Sunny. Whoopi sighed audibly. Oh boy, here we go. But it was too late. The energy was rolling. Sunny leaned forward. You're talking about resilience like it's a magic fix. These aren't kids learning TikTok. These are seniors, some in their 80s with memory issues, limited mobility, no family nearby. You can't just say learn the internet and be brave. That's not policy. That's fantasy. Jennifer's eyes softened for a moment, but her voice didn't waver. It's not fantasy, it's faith. Faith in their ability to learn, to adapt, to stay part of the world instead of being cut off from it. If we stop believing that, we've already failed them. The crowd clapped, longer this time. A few people even cheered. Sunny tried to respond, but the applause drowned her out for a moment. When it quieted, she spoke again, more personal this time. My mother is 78. She barely trusts her bank app because she's terrified she'll hit the wrong button and lose everything. I tell her not to shop online for her own peace of mind. That's not limiting her, Jennifer. That's love. Jennifer paused, and for a split second, her eyes softened. I understand that, but love can't mean limiting someone's freedom. My mom's older too, and you know what gives her peace of mind? Being able to handle things herself. That's what keeps her feeling alive. There was silence after that, one of those rare TV moments where no one knew who'd speak next. Whoopi finally broke it. It sounds like both of you are talking about care, but from two different angles. One saying protect, the other saying empower. Sunny crossed her arms. And I'm saying one wrong click can ruin an entire life. Jennifer replied without missing a beat. And I'm saying living in fear of that click ruins it faster. The studio reacted, a collective murmur, half applause, half disbelief. Joy exhaled dramatically. Okay, I'm officially afraid to open my laptop now. Even Whoopi smirked. That's because you'd probably click the first cat video you saw. The laughter cut through the tension, but only for a moment. Sunny and Jennifer were still locked in quiet defiance, two women with different visions of what it means to protect America's elders in a digital age. And as the commercial music cue started to fade in, everyone watching knew this conversation wasn't done. It was about to hit deeper and harder.
When the show returned from the break, the air in the studio felt heavier. Even the audience seemed quieter, as if they could sense the things were about to get real. Whoopi Goldberg looked between Sunny and Jennifer with that subtle half-smile she used when she knew she was about to referee a storm. All right, Whoopi said, before we jump back in, let's take a breath. We're not trying to start a cyber war here. We're just asking, should seniors stay away from online shopping for their own safety, or should they be encouraged to embrace it? Jennifer leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice steady but more personal this time. I don't want to live in a world where we tell people to hide because something might go wrong. Seniors have spent decades building this country, raising kids, paying taxes, fighting wars, and now we're telling them they can't buy a pair of shoes online without permission? That's not safety, that's shrinking their world. The audience murmured in agreement. Joy Behar jumped in with her classic smirk. But Jennifer, come on. Not everyone's as sharp as you are. Some of these scams are so convincing that I've almost fallen for them, and I'm not 70. Jennifer smiled faintly. Then it's not just a senior issue, is it? Maybe it's an education issue, for everyone. Sunny frowned, clearly not convinced. Education doesn't stop manipulation. These scams are psychological. They prey on loneliness, on confusion, on trust. My mom once got a message saying I'd been arrested and needed bail money. She was shaking when she called me. That's not about online confidence. That's emotional exploitation. Jennifer's face softened, and she nodded slowly. That's awful, Sunny, and I'm sorry she went through that. But that's exactly why we can't just shut people out of the internet. We have to teach them to spot the red flags, to know the difference between a scam and the truth. We can't protect them by keeping them in the dark. Whoopi gestured between them. So what you're saying, Jennifer, is it's about empowerment. And Sunny, you're saying it's about prevention. Exactly, Sunny said. I'm not saying seniors can't learn. I'm saying the stakes are too high. You lose one retirement account to a phishing email, and you can't get that back. We're not talking about losing a password here. We're talking about losing everything. Jennifer leaned back, taking a deep breath. And I'm saying you lose something bigger when you take away their independence. You lose their dignity. You make them dependent on others for every decision. And that's not safety.
That's quiet suffering. The audience clapped softly, some nodding, some whispering. There was real emotion now, not just debate. Joy broke the silence again with her classic smirk. But Jennifer, come on. Not everyone's as sharp as you are. Some of these scams are so convincing that I've almost fallen for them, and I'm not 70. Jennifer smiled faintly. Then it's not just a senior issue, is it? Maybe it's an education issue, for everyone. Sunny tilted her head. You talk like everyone's being locked away. That's dramatic. Jennifer's voice rose slightly. No, it's real. My aunt stopped using her phone after she got scammed once. Now she waits for my cousin to visit just to pay her bills. That's not freedom, Sunny. That's fear. We shouldn't accept that. There was a beat of silence. Whoopi looked down, thinking. Even Joy seemed momentarily unsure what to say. But Sunny wasn't done. But fear can be rational. If touching the stove burns you, you stop touching it. Jennifer hit her head. Not if it's the only stove you've got. You learn how to use it safely. The audience erupted in applause again, louder this time. The women at the table exchanged looks. Sunny tried to respond, but stopped herself, letting the noise die down. When she spoke again, her tone was quieter, almost introspective. You really believe technology's worth that risk? Jennifer nodded. Yes, because connection is worth that risk. My mom FaceTimes her grandkids every night. It makes her happy. It makes her feel included. If she stopped because someone might scam her, she'd lose a piece of her life. And we can't let fear do that. Not to her, not to anyone. Whoopi gave a small smile. That's fair, but I'll say this. People are afraid. And right now, fear is winning. Jennifer looked out toward the audience. Then maybe we need to stop feeding it. The applause that followed wasn't the polite kind. It was heartfelt. People in the front row even stood for a moment. Sunny folded her arms, eyes narrowing slightly. You're passionate, I'll give you that. But idealism doesn't stop hackers. Jennifer met her stare. And cynicism doesn't help seniors. It was a perfect, cutting line, and the audience knew it. Cheers and gasps filled the room. Whoopi's eyebrows shot up as she leaned back in her chair. Joy muttered, Okay, now it's getting spicy, into her mic, earning a few laughs, but the tension didn't fade. Jennifer's words had shifted the conversation from argument to emotion, from stats to something deeper. The dignity of aging in a digital world. And in that moment, everyone watching, both in the studio and at home, knew they weren't just debating online shopping anymore. They were debating what kind of respect older Americans deserved in the age of technology.
The room felt like a pressure cooker. Every eye was glued to Jennifer Lopez and Sunny Hostin as the tension between them reached its breaking point. The conversation had gone far beyond online shopping. It had turned into a clash between two very different worlds, one of hard-earned caution and another of fearless modern living. Sunny leaned in, her voice sharp but steady. Jennifer, I understand that you want seniors to feel empowered, but you're underestimating how ruthless online scammers are. We're talking about sophisticated traps designed to look like real stores, using AI-generated reviews and fake support numbers. It's not about insulting seniors, it's about protecting them. Jennifer took a breath, visibly frustrated. And I'm saying you don't protect people by keeping them afraid. That's not protection, that's control. My mom does everything online now, shopping, paying bills, even sending gifts to her friends. You know what she told me? That it makes her feel seen in a world that moves too fast. That's not something I'd take away from her because of a few bad actors. Sunny shot back quickly. But that's exactly the problem. People think it's a few bad actors. It's millions of dollars being stolen every week. Seniors lose their life savings, Jennifer. You can't ignore that because your mom's comfortable online. Jennifer's eyes narrowed. I'm not ignoring it. I'm saying the answer isn't to tell them don't try. It's to teach them how to shop safely. Show them what to look for, not scare them into silence. The audience murmured. A few nodded in agreement, but others sided with Sunny, who looked almost pained as she replied, You're being idealistic. Most seniors didn't grow up with this technology.
They don't have your mom's confidence or your resources. When we tell them to just be careful, they still get caught in these traps. Sometimes protection has to mean saying no." Jennifer leaned forward now, her voice low but unwavering. "Sunny, when you start telling people to stop trying because they might fail, you take away more than their money. You take away their independence, their dignity." For a moment, the studio went silent. Sunny blinked, caught off guard by the emotional weight in Jennifer's voice. But instead of softening, she doubled down. "And what happens when that dignity costs them everything they've worked for? When someone's grandmother loses her retirement fund because she clicked a fake Amazon link? Are you calling that empowerment?" Jennifer's jaw tightened. "You're calling it fear-mongering. You're scaring them into staying small." Sunny exhaled sharply, shaking her head. "This isn't fear-mongering, it's realism." Jennifer paused, her voice quieter now but cutting deeper. "Realism without hope isn't realism, it's surrender." That line landed like a thunderclap. Even Whoopi, sitting beside them, looked impressed by the intensity of it. Sunny folded her arms, visibly irritated. "You make it sound poetic, but the truth isn't pretty, Jennifer. It's dangerous out there. People need to hear that." Jennifer nodded slowly. "They do, but they also need to hear that they're capable of learning, that they can adapt. My mom is 77, Sunny. She learned how to use PayPal and Apple Pay because someone believed she could. You talk about safety, but what about self-worth? Isn't that part of health, too?" The audience erupted in applause. Sunny's composure slipped just slightly, her lips pressed into a thin line as she struggled for a comeback. Jennifer leaned back in her chair, her expression calm now, almost resolute. "Fear is easy to sell, but empowerment, that takes effort." Sunny's microphone crackled as she replied, her tone clipped. "Tell that to the next victim of an online scam." She turned to her, eyes steady. "I just did." The crowd gasped at the directness of it. The tension was so thick that even the show's producers seemed unsure whether to cut to commercial or let it ride. And in that moment, it was clear. The debate was no longer about online shopping. It was about who had the right to define safety for America's seniors. Jennifer wasn't backing down. She'd made her point, and it hit harder than anyone expected.
When the cameras came back from the commercial break, the air still carried that heavy silence that follows a real moment. Jennifer Lopez sat composed, but her eyes betrayed a mix of exhaustion and conviction. Sunny Hostin kept her gaze fixed on the table, still tense but quieter now. Whoopi Goldberg finally broke the stillness with a half smile. "Well, that got real fast," she said, trying to lighten the air. The audience chuckled nervously, but no one looked away from Jennifer. Jennifer spoke softly, but her voice carried. "Look, I get it. Online scams are scary, but so is living in fear every day. Seniors aren't fragile. They're capable. They've built this country. They just need someone to believe they can learn, not someone to tell them to stay behind." The audience applauded again, this time longer, warmer. Even some of the crew members nodded from behind the cameras. Sunny sighed, her expression finally softening. "I don't disagree with you, Jennifer," she said carefully. "But the reason I argue so hard is because I've seen the damage up close. I've had family members fall victim. I don't want anyone else to go through that." Jennifer turned toward her, her tone gentler now. "And that's fair, Sunny. You care. I respect that. But fear can't be the whole strategy. You can't protect people by locking every door. At some point, you have to teach them how to walk through the world safely." It was a rare, genuine moment between two women who clearly stood on opposite sides of the same heartbreak. Sunny nodded slowly, and for a brief second, the wall between them seemed to drop. "Maybe the answer's both," she admitted. "Caution and confidence." Jennifer smiled faintly. "Exactly. Not fear, not blind trust, just balance." The audience erupted in applause again, this time with genuine warmth. It wasn't the sound of choosing sides, it was the sound of people who had just seen two perspectives collide and somehow create understanding. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back in her chair, chuckling. "I think we just saved about 1 million family arguments out there," she joked. Jennifer laughed, but it was a tired laugh, the kind that follows a long fight. She looked out toward the audience, her voice steady and heartfelt. If you're watching this at home, especially if you're older, don't let anyone make you feel like you can't keep up. You can. Learn. Ask questions. Be careful, yes, but never be afraid to live. As the applause rose one final time, Jennifer placed her hands on the table, took a deep breath, and smiled toward Sunny. "Good talk," she said simply, before standing up and walking off the set with quiet grace. The camera lingered on her empty chair for a moment, symbolic, steady, and defiant, before fading to black. If you like this powerful exchange, subscribe for more unforgettable celebrity showdowns and real conversations that hit home. What do you think? Should seniors be cautious online or confident?